Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. This is going to be the Tour de Murrieta. It's a 2-day omnium. This is going to be stage one. It's the women's P123 race, and this is going to be it's the crit race basically. And it's not your normal California crit, even though it's not really too technical. All of us out here in California think it's a technical crit, but it's not really that technical. It's just a L-shaped crit you can see in the top left corner up there. But it is pretty punchy, pretty stop and go. Has a couple bumps here and there, and it does change surfaces. So you've seen this video probably before from the last few years on my channel. But yeah, it's kind of a treat. I just learned that at one point it was part of Tour de California, the World Tour race that was kind of ended in 2020 with COVID, hopefully to come back sooner or later. But yeah, this was, I guess, stage two in Tour de California many years ago. And rumor has it that that's how the stage two cycling store and cycling team came about, because they hosted stage two of Tour de California. So they opened a bike shop and now race team called stage two. And I hope that's accurate. That's what they announced at the race. But, I don't have confirmation of that. So anyway, this is lap one. I'll give you a quick tour of the course. It's about a 6-corner course. We just did the infield there, 1 right hand and 5 left hand turns. This is the fastest portion of the course here, slightly downhill, but I think it's, and it's slightly downwind today. And then you go into the fastest and kind of most technical, dangerous corner here, because it narrows on the exit and it goes across those cobblestones. So it goes from asphalt to cobblestone to this narrow street here. And you can see the parking stalls and the concrete to the left. It's very easy to get it wrong when you're going high speed and run wide there. So a lot of people call it crash corner. That's where almost all the crashes happen. And then you have a good 500 meter, 600 meter straightaway here for the sprint to the line. It's one of the longest sprints we have out here. I think this and maybe Barry Wolf Criterium. Manhattan Beach is pretty long as well, but this one is, it's a pretty long drag race here. There's Anya to the left right there. Love seeing Anya grow up. She's been racing out here since I think she was 10 years old. I like her, great racer. I think she's really stable on the bike. She's a really fast sprinter. When she's fully matured muscle-wise and stuff like that, she's gonna just be really hard to beat. She's already hard to beat, and I think she's a good bike handler and all that. Great with efficiency and just holding position. So if you saw turn one there, it goes across a little, kind of like a drain. A water drain, not a drain, but like a canal, like to kind of funnel water. So that's a pretty big dip there, unsettles the bike a little bit, and then you have to kind of sprint out of it. This here is another narrow section in turn two. It's a wide turn though, it's not real sharp, but turn 3 here has a lot of sand in it, has a big dip as well. And this one will really unsettle the bike right there. That'll really unsettle the bike, and it kind of skips your rear tire out to the right. Definitely if you're not careful there, you can easily high side there. And then this is the 1 right hand turn on the course. It's kind of fast and flowing, kind of like it, honestly. So today we're running the camera from Naomi. Naomi's on camera today. We only have 3 riders in the race. We have Naomi, Anastasia, and Morgan. The rest of our girls are kind of out doing their thing. Elisa's racing for Jackaroo next week in the Redlands Classic, so she skipped this race and doing some stuff with the Jackaroo composite team. Marlena's out right now too, getting ready for her wedding, and some of the other girls just weren't available today. So kind of have a small team, but it's a huge field. It's a stacked field, and the girls came out to compete. So as you can see, the red bibs in front of us. We got Encycle Mommies out. They have a couple riders, a few riders. You got the kid in front of us here from Competitive Edge. They had 9 riders in the race. I think they're getting ready for Redlands also next week. They're from the East Coast, so they're not really familiar with this course and all that, but it's good to see them out here in a big team. You have Altavelo, who I think had 5 riders in the race. And then some of us, yeah, we had three. Uh, we got a couple from Major Motion in the race. We got Jade. I think the other Major Motion girls raced the other race, but so I think Jade might be riding solo in this race here. Have Camilla from LABA in the race. It's a stacked field overall. You got Colleen Gullick. It's a pretty stacked field. Like I said, I think there's over 30 riders in it, and we're mid-season now, so people are running hot. The pace is really fast, and we've had a lot of races now, so everybody's kind of in the full swing of things. First really warm weekend of the year, and I think that that just magnified like the difficulty levels of this race. This is already a pretty hard crit, a lot of bottlenecking, a lot of stop and go, and it's 90 degrees today. I think it was really only 80 something, but like you see the temperature there, it says 90 degrees. So either way, it was pretty warm, and that's just gonna add to, the fitness challenge for everyone. So there's Morgan there in front of Naomi. Morgan's kind of been our designated sprinter for this portion of the year here. And today's no different because, like I said, we're down in numbers today, and Anastasia and Naomi are not really sprinters. So I'll tell you this too. I have the reputation on these videos of kind of being the Critwit told me he calls me the cornering Nazi. It's kind of funny, and I agree. I am probably the cornering Nazi. I like to just think that should be like a basic thing that everybody should understand if you're racing any type of vehicle, bike, motorbike, cars, anything. You should have a basic understanding of cornering. But I will say this course just magnifies that. A lot of the girls will be very nervous in this race. Tight field, narrow course, bottlenecking into every corner unless it's really stretched out. And if you're not really solid with cornering concepts, bike handling, positioning, it makes the race pretty sketchy. And that's one of the things I heard a lot of the women talking about is like it was really sketchy out there. And that's one of the reasons why we have to understand those things. So, but if you look at it, I think it's really just narrow surface, a lot of turns, a lot of corners, and, a lot of competitive racers out here fighting for the same real estate and sometimes not knowing exactly how to claim that real estate in a safe way. So as the race goes, and everyone starts to learn the course and all that, these things usually will smoothen out a little bit. People will start understanding where they want to be, which side they want to be on, stuff like that. So you see Morgan kind of going up the outside here, and Naomi's kind of trying to follow her a little bit. And that's Jade there to the left with the Major Motion kit in red. You see Anastasia up there to the left side. Now you see the girls shooting like really tight in there to that left side. That's what causes issues, and you see it there. See the girl in black kind of went wide, forced Morgan out wide, and that's where we have a lot of crashes. You can see into those parking stalls over there to the left. And as much as that just looks like someone running wide, that's caused by the girls that shot up the inside really tight. Those girls that shot up the inside, which is basically the dive bomb line, they shot up so tight that it basically causes a domino effect of everyone making a micro adjustment to the outside, and that eventually just pushes the people on the outside wide. I'm not going to go too far in it because, like I said, I am the cornering Nazi, and I can get stuck just talking about cornering the whole race. But yeah, very competitive. Shout out to the girls from Competitive Edge. They did have I think they did a pretty good job of controlling the peloton, for a good portion of the race. They had a number of girls up towards the front. They sometimes were completely on the front with a couple girls in breakaways, and they're trying to run interference. which is, normal. That's like the basic strategy. That's one of the, other than, sprint lead outs, that's basically the other strategy that people deploy the most. Those two strategies, bunch sprint with a sprint lead out, or breakaways and your rest of your teammates try to run interference. Those are like the two main strategies of crit racing in America. There are more, of course, but I think those are the two most common that people kind of understand, and it's easy to point out when it's happening. There's Camilla there right in front of us. Camilla's doing a great job racing. She's racing solo today. And yeah, like I said, big competitive field, and I think she did a great job of representing LABA in this race. There she goes, making a move up to the front, just trying to get in better position here. And you can see with as many turns that they have, this course is not slow. They're at 28 miles per hour now. I believe that's Courtney to the outside right here to the right. I was next to Courtney's mom on the finish on the last day, so we had a little chat. But Courtney's great also. I think this is only her maybe fourth race of the year. Super strong, more of a breakaway climber type rider. But, she's doing a great job here and holding her own as well. Cornering Nazi, I can't give Naomi a pass either. She's kind of running wide there a little bit, not on sometimes the greatest line. And she rides the outside basically the entire race here. I wouldn't say the entire race, but a good portion of it. And, with my team and the things that I teach my team is, I have a little saying. I call that kind of the coward line or cowardly line. And I don't mean it like literally like that makes you a coward if you're on the outside. But most of the time, people that are afraid of cornering or afraid of their bike handling, they tend to stick to the outside because they think it's safer. And it's because they have room to move to the outside if something happens, even though you don't have the ability to control your own destiny. And almost all crashes get pushed to the outside. So even though, if you see there, Melissa and the competitive edge girl just kind of touched a little bit. And, when I first saw that, it looked like something different. But I see what happened is you see that little barrier to the side there. There's a pole that's wrapped in the hay bale. Melissa basically, it narrows right there. So Melissa had to kind of squeeze inside of that hay bale. And the other competitive edge rider just didn't know she was there. So as Melissa squeezed inside of that hay bale, they just kind of hit elbows there a little bit. And if you saw the competitive edge rider, obviously she used a little counterbalancing. And she brought her elbow in, which is the right thing to do. A lot of people preach, especially they preach it to younger riders or newer riders. A lot of the kind of Cat 1s and pros, they always tell people to stick an elbow out. And that's not always the best situation. And to me, it's almost never the best situation. If that girl would have stuck her elbow out, she would have fallen basically. There's a good attack up the inside there. If you see, they attacked early and then moved back to the right side of the road here, and that's to get the proper angle into this turn. As you saw the turn before, there was a couple girls that ran in really tight and forced everyone wide. So that's more of the proper angle there. You definitely want to take a wide approach to a turn that's narrowing at a sharp 90 degree and narrows. You want to give yourself the proper angle into that turn to avoid running wide or coming across other people's wheels. So yeah, they're definitely on the gas here, going up the hill here, which this is a false flat and into the wind. So 28 miles per hour on a false flat into the wind is a pretty good effort. Naomi's on the correct side of this this group here because the wind's coming like headwind from the left. So she's a little bit protected. As you see, her watts was pretty low. She's down in the low 200s most of the time going up this drag here. So yeah, it's really stretched out here. And if I'm not mistaken, that might have been one of the points preems laps. I think they have 2 point preem laps for omnium points each race, basically. So I think I've moved over to the right side now, just to shout instructions and keep an eye on things. That's me to the right there by that yellow sign. Just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on the backside over here. This is a little bit more critical than being at the front on the start-finish line or on the front stretch there. There's nothing going on there. It's just a straightaway. So it's a little bit more critical in the infield for people to position themselves properly and be in the right location. So Naomi makes her way back up here to Morgan now, or kind of near Morgan. So I think something that can be learned from, I talk about Colleen sometimes and how efficient she is, how calm she is, stuff like that. I think hopefully I can be correct here, but Anya also right here in the black. If you look at Anya on the bike, she's really comfortable on a bike. Obviously, she has to work hard because she's younger and smaller. Like she has to kind of really get on it to stay like efficient in the draft, but she's always going to stay in good position. And if you look at her body language, she's super relaxed on a bike. She's super comfortable on the bike. There's nothing scary for her here. A lot of people get scared and they start spending nervous energy. They start clutching the bars like a little tighter. Their body, their back, everything gets a little stiffer. Their shoulders are stiff. And Anya's really relaxed on a bike, really comfortable. Nothing's kind of a big deal. It's kind of just riding your bike and, being where you're supposed to be. And if something happens, you have the confidence and ability to handle it, and you just continue racing. And I think she does a great job of that. She pretty much always has over the last few years. And like I said, we've seen her out here racing when she was 10 years old. So I think she was 10 or 11 when we met her and her family. And that's one of the things Colleen does, and I think for sure every sprinter needs to do that. Every sprinter needs to conserve a lot of energy, and sometimes it's just mental and nervous energy. A lot of people don't understand how much that fatigues you through a race when you're really nervous or fidgeting all the time, or your body's just tense. So yeah, there's some games playing up front. Like I said, the competitive edge team, they did do a good job. I think they did a really good job of just controlling the field through most of the race. I think that's Linda Cruz in front of us there from Butcher Box. And again, they're up to 33 miles per hour now. That's pretty fast. 33 miles per hour, even on this fast section, is pretty high speed here. But again, with this narrowing corner here, you see it's going to bottleneck. People are going to be on the brakes now. We lost like 8 miles per hour going from the straightaway to the turn there. And I wouldn't be surprised again if this is another point spring lap or cash spring. There's I forgot Fountain's in the race as well. I think they only had one rider this time. They won last week at CBR, and I think this is a different rider. I don't think she was there. So Morgan makes her way back up past Naomi. So there's a good example too, going back to being the cornering Nazi, how I always talk about entering the corner at the same angle. I don't know if this is Feline here or not, but one of the mommies, I think it may have been Feline, one of the mommies was, to the far to the left inside. And as you can see, the peloton was taking the angle from the right, a wide approach, and Feline was kind of coming straight in. So that's when you're taking two different angles there, and that sometimes can cause an issue. Which, Feline knows, so she was just, she had to slow down a lot before making the corner there. And sometimes less experienced people don't slow down and they enter the corner at that different different angle than the peloton does. And that's when you have that kind of dive bomb situation, T-bone kind of dive bomb situation. So you see Morgan here again, another sprinter. Um, you got to be kind of calm a lot, like I was saying, like with Anya. Morgan's a little bit more active, in my opinion, than some of the other sprinters. Because like you'll see Morgan at the front, you'll see her, moving positions a lot. You'll see her sometimes going for preems, or kind of chasing a move or something like that. And I think sometimes it benefits her, sometimes it doesn't. But she also sometimes has to work for the team as well. So it just depends on what's going on. But I think in general, um, most sprinters will kind of be really quiet throughout the race. So yeah, definitely the little, lull in the action here. They came through last lap at 28 miles per hour, and this time it's only 21. Not sure who the rider is right here on the right with the black bibs. I think she had a good circuit race. I won't give away the details since I have that video also. But yeah, the circuit race with the new course was that was brutal. I think it was the best. One of the harder races that we've seen at Tour de Murrieta, I think, on stage 2. But yeah, this is still stage 1, opening stage. And I think the pace was pretty high. I don't know the exact speed, but I know my wife raced the 345 earlier in the day, and I think they were just under 24 miles per hour. And for a 345 race, that was pretty fast as well. I think the only race we had faster this year in that category was at Valley of the Sun, which they were over 24 miles per hour in the 4.5 race. Obviously, that's blazing for a 4.5 race of over 24 miles per hour. It's a good job by Naomi just going around, making up a spot, getting back to Morgan's wheel. This is one of the things when you don't have, a big team or a lot of teammates in a race, I think sometimes it adds a little stress of just being able to protect yourself in the field. If you race like that all the time, if you race by yourself all the time without teammates, it gets a little easier because, you get used to it. But sometimes when you have teammates to kind of assist you or protect you or whatever the case may be, and then you all of a sudden race by yourself, I think sometimes it can, get you out of rhythm a little bit. See one of the fountain girls up there putting in a little work. I can't tell if she's chasing or if she's off the front, but I definitely saw her putting in a good acceleration to the left side there. Yeah, and I think Morgan's just a little concerned that it may split, because we really thought it would. I thought this peloton was going to split, so they both shoot up the inside there, and it was very critical. Like I just talked about it on the last lap. If you look at the angle that Naomi was going in, it was virtually the same angle as the competitive edge riders. So as I said before, when you're coming in at two different angles, that's what causes like the dive bomb situation. But if you're coming in at this same angle as the rider that you're going inside of, that's a lot safer, and there's not really anything there. That's just normal block passing. Kind of as you can see here, just like the competitive edge rider just did there. Some people think anytime you move up the inside, it's a dive bomb, but it's not. Look at that. I just went back to being the cornering Nazi, like just naturally. And just rolled right back into that roll without missing a beat. Sometimes you can't change who you are. So it's really stretched out here. It's not as fast as it was a couple laps ago, but again, anytime it's single file, you know, that just means the pace is pretty hot for the conditions. So you see there's two girls off the front up there. It looks like one of the mommies and one of the competitive edge riders. Yeah, and Raymar's has this one also streamed. It was streamed live. So if you watch this channel and you're not familiar with LA Crits, you know, also watch his races when you get a chance. It's of the same course, but it's more from a televised point of view. You know, cameras on the still cameras on the course, and then every so often, and especially the last few laps, it comes from a drone feed. So yeah, get over there and support LA Crits if you can, or Ray's channel. So yeah, the two girls are still off the front here. You see Naomi rolls up to the front of the group. Gonna put in a little effort here. And again, this is the power of teammates right here. This is the power of when you have someone that can kind of assist you, especially if you're a sprinter, that can kind of assist with just doing a little work so you don't have to do this effort here and burn a match. Definitely want your sprinter to be tucked in and saving as much energy as possible for when it, you know, they need to use that explosive power. So definitely great job by Naomi here, just taking the initiative and going. You see she's not putting in too high of watts, but she is kind of flowing pretty good through the corners. She's starting to make up a little ground. I told her right here, I yelled to her like, hey, don't do the entire effort. Just flick an elbow, let somebody else jump in. She kind of accelerates here, but I think Colleen is right behind her, so they're kind of itching to go run it down too. They didn't want it to get too far away. So as Naomi kind of drifts here, there goes Colleen going by her with one of the competitive edge girls. Oh, unfortunately, I didn't realize, because I can't see this part when I'm there, I didn't realize only two went. Oh, that's because competitive edge is here to slow it down, yeah, to create the breakaway. So yeah, this part here is where people that are behind competitive edge need to, like, you know, you need to know that they're going to slow it down. They're not trying to chase or anything. They're trying to actually let that gap increase. So right when Colleen and the other girl went by, as you see Jade's going now, she may not have had an opportunity back then, but it would have been a little bit less energy for Jade if she would have been able to go right when Colleen went. So as you can see now, Morgan, different people, they're all trying to get up to the front. You have to obviously get around competitive edge as soon as possible when you see that they're trying to run interference. And which is why Colleen and the other competitive edge rider kind of bridged. And if you noticed, competitive edge was on Colleen's wheel. They're not going to, you know, you're not going to chase your teammates, but it's okay to jump on the person's wheel that is chasing your teammate. Kind of use their energy to go up. Yeah, so those are those little hay bales right there to the black, onto the side, wrapped in black, wrapped in plastic. And that's what I was saying, like that kind of pinches the peloton a little bit, where Melissa had to squeeze in between those on the, you know, a couple laps back, or 4 or 5 laps ago. You can see there's still one of the competitive edge girls off the front. So yeah, definitely if you're the one large team in the group, this allows you to have some of this ability to play different games and have different strategies. Like I said, I think competitive edge had nine riders on the roster for today. I think in Redlands you can only use 8, and on like official, like some of the official events you can only use 8. I believe Tulsa might only be a team of 6. Can't remember, but some events have different rules. But it used to be 9 a long time ago, and I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago, like even the World Tour, they moved down to 8 riders instead of 9. So here's really tough. Naomi makes it work by moving up 1 spot, but it's really tough to kind of move up there on that short straightaway there. But as you can see how stretched out it is, she just doesn't want to get caught way back here. while there, we knew there was stuff going on at the front. She did just do that effort a lap ago to try to run things down. She's on the protected side again from the wind here, kind of running the gutter. Yeah, those are pretty nice socks by both Fount and Competitive Edge. Their team socks are pretty nice. That's one thing I don't currently have. I don't currently have team socks. We do have the Arrow shoe covers that are custom for the team, and we wear those also. But yeah, I may have to look in getting custom socks for the team. Got some little stop and go going on in the, in the group here. I think Naomi was a little all over the place in that turn right there, in turn 3. So yeah, we're getting deep into the race. It looks like we have, I don't know, maybe 10 laps to go. Looks like we may be about 10 laps out now. So there's Colleen there. Colleen was sitting a little bit higher at the front this race than she normally does. I think just because she knows the nature of the course with all the stop and go and hard accelerations and it being narrow. Once it stretches out, like, you can be really far back and get caught out. So different than like CBRs and stuff, which are a lot faster and flowing. And I don't mean necessarily faster speed as far as the miles per hour, but the draft effect, I think, is a lot. There's a lot more of a draft effect on CBR courses than there are here. The draft is still significant here, but because you have such a stop and go course, it doesn't allow you to relax as much as CBR does. So you can be further back in CBR, not spending a lot of energy, and then move up when the time is right. Here, if you're in the back, you're in the accordion or the washing machine, whatever terminology you want to use. But there's a lot of stop and go. It gets very punchy back there, and you're not able to flow smoothly through corners. So the harder the course is, as far as like how narrow it is, how much stop and go there is, you need to be further up front. You can't be in the back. And those fast flowing courses like CBR, they're a little easier to. Even though they're tough, like the racers make the race. Fast course, drafting, no drafting. The racers go hard enough, it makes it hard on everyone. So it's not just that the course is a certain way, but some of the efficiency in drafting and stuff like that, it does vary course to course. And here it's a little tougher. So I think that's Melissa in front of the camera now, Melissa and Feline. And that's Linda going up the outside there. So as you can see, there's a lot of stop and go in the corners. A lot of brake checking. And it's just like, again, it's just the nature of this course. A lot of people complain about it and they'll yell, don't hit your brakes, or they'll yell, pedal through the corner. But, honestly, it's the nature of the course. It's going to create a lot of stop and go, a lot of little micro bursts in and out of the corners. or more so out of the corner.
Setting 10th on the front.
Oh, I should have looked at the sign. I mean, in the lap counter. I didn't see the lap counter, but I'm guessing we have 6 laps to go now. It might even be a little less than 6. I don't know the exact. I don't know the exact time it takes for a lap. I just kind of guesstimate usually about 2 minutes a lap. And that's like most of the courses that we run. They're somewhere between like 1:30 to 2 minutes a lap. I don't know if we missed it already or if it was right there, but one of these turns through here, there's a car that cuts across the road like right in front of the women. We may have missed it already, but yeah, that wasn't good. You know, I think some of the volunteer workers let a car come right when the women were coming. They had to go to the left of the car, right across turn 3. You know, I'm pretty sure it already happened because it happened while I was standing there, and I'm gone now. I relocated to the finish line, so. So yeah, definitely much better lines coming into this last turn. I think people have learned over the years, because there was times where like everyone would be left of the double yellow, and that just makes it a really tough angle to enter that corner at speed. So again, you see Colleen just sitting there, sitting in the inside, trying to take as little wind as possible. Kind of has her back low, a flat back as much as possible, and just really trying to be efficient. Yeah, efficiency is the name of the game for a sprinter. You know, you have a lot of people that want to do as many watts as they can, and sometimes you'll hear them bragging about, you know, that they did X amount of watts through the race. They average this much, and when you're a sprinter, you want the opposite. You want to have the lowest watt average possible in a race. It's okay if you hit like a big sprint number, a big max sprint, but your average power, normalized power, you want that to be low in a race. All right, so there goes Naomi moving up. Don't know if that's really, yeah, maybe it is really the front with Morgan and one of the competitive edge riders off the front. So maybe she should have let it go. Maybe she should have let it go and let them two roll and see what it looked like, see how it played out. I think Morgan might be going for some sprint points here, though, too. Because Morgan sets in a little attack. She sees that they had a little gap here. So it's okay if Naomi goes with her, but not if she's dragging the peloton along. And I can't see behind her, so I don't know. So if the peloton's behind her and she's not with her, she should be slowing down here and, you know, kind of letting Morgan get off the front there. But yeah, you know, I can't be a hypocrite. It looks like she's chasing her teammate. But there goes competitive edge. Now you can jump onto that, jump onto Colleen's wheel. But yeah, she should have slowed down earlier and let a bigger gap open. Yeah, you typically do not want to chase your teammate. So the speed's down right here. So yeah, you can pretty much expect someone to counterattack. Kind of going, I think, with like 4 laps to go here. You can tell it's late in the race because you can see people are just, again, body language is a little different. And I might be off with this lap count. We might have 4 or 5 laps to go. So this is a pretty long drag, but if you see on the map on the top left, you can see how much longer the start-finish line drag is, you know? That straightaway is a little bit longer. It's like a fourth of the way longer than the other one. Than the backstretch that we're just on now. So yeah, if you look at the percentage, this is not flat. It looks flat, but it's pretty much uphill on the start finish line here. Uphill, and I think it was against the wind as you see the American flag right there to the left. So you got a nice stiff headwind, and you got, you know, uphill up to 4% at some point. And it's long, and it's 600 meters or something for the sprint. You see Competitive Edge making a move, all uniform, got their ducks in a row, making a move up to the front to control the pace again. And honestly, I'm impressed. Like, that's a pretty good job. I think they're a U23 team, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, it's a pretty good job of just doing it. You know, a lot of riders, they race for the same team, but they have a problem with actually trying to execute some of the strategies. You know, I've seen this over the years that you'll have 6 guys in a race or whatever, and they simply won't line up and go to the front. They simply just won't do it, you know, for whatever reason. And it's hard to get people to work together, and it's hard to get people to actually have the courage to just say, hey, we're going to go up front and control it. And if you're not able to, it's not a big deal. Like, failing to pull off, you know, one of your team tactics or strategies is not, it's not a negative thing. So again, you see someone shooting up the inside at the wrong angle, kind of pushed everybody wide again. Again, I'm the cornering Nazi. But again, if you see one bike kind of going straight and the other bike's going across their front wheel, it's not the bike's cutting across the front wheel's fault. It's the person that's really tight in there to the curb going at a different angle into the turn.
Competitive active 123 riders.
So yeah, you're starting to see it a little more and more now. I think it's because of desperation. As the laps are counting down, you see people taking that desperate tight line. Again, I don't mean just the inside line. I mean more of the dive bomb type line. You're starting to see people do it more and more every corner. And I think that comes out of a little fatigue and desperation. You know, people think that's the easy way to move up. It's not. You're going to go in the corner at the wrong angle. You're going to have to slow down. And then you're going to have to sprint hard out of every corner. And as you can see the difference here, and Naomi's close because I think the last couple of times she was kind of wobbly going through those turns, wasn't the most stable. But you can see that she's way closer to the riders, so they're going in at the same angle. It happens when you separate, that you go in at different angles. So right now you see the rider from Fount, and Camilla and Morgan, they're up there on the inside. But as you see, they move back to the right here. One rider didn't, and they went in kind of tight. But most of them moved back to the right on the other side of the double yellow so they can get a good angle for the corner. It's a good ride here by the lady from Competitive Edge, holding her position there and just mirroring the person to her right instead of unnecessarily swinging wide. And I'm only pointing that out because earlier in the race, like a lot of riders that were on the outside were unnecessarily swinging wide, when really all you have to do is kind of mirror and match the angle of the person to your inside. Saw a little push there. It wasn't a push, it was more of a touch, but just me and Bahati kind of echoed this the other day, is like, really, you want to keep your hands on the bars. You see people do it many times, and I know everyone thinks like it's no big deal, but for the most part, you want to keep your hands on the bars, especially if there was contact, not from you and that rider, but if someone else were to make contact with you while you're touching another rider, it could be a bad situation there. And overall, in most race situations, it's better just to use a verbal command if you need to and keep both hands on the bars. There was a little better illustration there. It wasn't perfect, but if you saw, Courtney was on the inside, but she was coming in at the same angle, very close to the same angle as the Competitive Edge rider, and that's what keeps it safe. It's okay to be inside, even tight inside, as long as you're coming in at the same angle. And yes, I've been beating a dead horse. Like I said, I can't help it. I'm the cornering Nazi. Really got the pace up high here, only a couple laps to go. So I think this is going to be going into the last lap. You got Competitive Edge trying to drive in front, trying to, effectively put a lead out on. You got one of the Altavelo girls shooting up, and I think this Melissa shooting up with her, or kind of, using there to make up a spot there. It's really tight. You got to keep it tight to keep that aerodynamic advantage here, or take advantage of the aerodynamic ness, or the big hole that the peloton's punching in the air. So yeah, going into the last lap, you can see everybody's intense. The speed is up. The accelerations are a lot harder now. So you see Morgan's in decent position up there to the left, but she gets shuffled back a little bit here by 2 spots. So now she's way out, not way out of position, but just a little further back than she'd like to be. Naomi's definitely way out of position. Morgan's getting shuffled back now even further. You got the mommies going up in pretty good position. One of the competitive edge women just pulls off from doing the lead out, which is great sacrifice for your team, because when she pulls out like that, like, she's not finishing. She's not trying to get a high finish. She's just trying to work for her team. Naomi does a pretty good job of shooting up here. The only thing is, going into this last turn at high speed, I'm not a fan of being on the outside here, especially this turn with its history. It's much better to be on the inside. They do have a good wide approach, though. You see everybody's on the other side, the double yellow, at the initial turn in. So you see Morgan's to the left there. Naomi's right here. So we're in pretty good position, other than Naomi couldn't find a way to get in front of Morgan to kind of lead her out and save a little energy for her, just because they're side by side here. So as we start the initial drag race here, if you look way over to the left, you see Morgan's trying to make up some spots, and the competitive edge girl goes early, so Morgan jumps on it, but they're really far out. They're still all 300 meters out or whatever, and that just burns a lot of energy. Morgan had enough snap to actually shoot straight to the front, but she's just like half a wheel in front of Colleen, and since it was such a long sprint, Colleen accelerated, like the second time, and just passed her right at the line. So Colleen Golick first, and Morgan takes second, and I think Colleen won by at least like one bike length. So Morgan had to start her sprint so early, but it was close. Colleen's been kind of our nemesis all year, but great race, great finish, great result, and thank you guys for watching.